is only. This is all about the beautiful game, football. On here, we talk to players before they become professionals. We talk to professionals, we talk to coaches, and we talk to fans of the game. We also cover hot topics and present our views on football news. For Footballers Only is brought to you by the DC11 Project. You can learn more by going to dcxiproject.com.
Positives and negatives. I mean, I got to see two super high-level players, World Cup players, you know, that was unique to see them, you know, doing what they do and be able to learn from them just by watching on the daily. Mm-hmm. The training environment, you know, our coach there sadly has passed away, Fernando Clavijo. So RIP to him. But the training environment there, it wasn't working for me. You know, I didn't really fit in with the overall plan, so it was hard. I went on loan also to Atlanta, to the Atlanta Silverbacks. We were playing in a high school football stadium in 2005. I wish there was pictures of this. If I Google it, you can see a few photos. But I remember taping numbers on. This is USL, USL. Mm-hmm. So we. I'll tell you this brief story. We trained. They had a small turf stadium where the next iteration of the team played, but we trained at this little turf field, and there was no locker rooms, no nothing. You show up, you change in the trailer outside the field, go out, and then when you're done, Atlanta is like hot during the summer. When you're done, you just go back to the trailer, change. This is what we did back then. I don't know who's doing it like this now. Go back to the trailer, change, and then you just roll out. Then you got to shower at home. So that also coming from, like I said, a very structured environment. Those were just good reality checks for me. We played games back to back. We played in Rochester and then we drove to Montreal like the same night or something. We played the next day. So it's character building, but I'm rambling.
So then, where did you end your professional career?
I finished in 2012. My last season was with the Railhawks, which is now North Carolina FC. Mm-hmm. So I walked away from soccer at 29, and I didn't. It was on my own accord, and I wanted to do it on my own terms, without, somebody else telling me, "Nah, you can't do this anymore." And I felt like that was my time. So my last season, I played and started, 30 games. We made it to the semifinals, I think, of the league. I didn't renew my contract there, and I was exploring playing like a couple other places. And when one or two things fell through, I just didn't want to I didn't want to move again. I didn't want to chase the next thing. I just wanted to see what else was out there. And you know, flex some other muscles in my brain, I guess. I played for 5 clubs over like 8-9 years. So it was a good amount of moving around, and I think I was just it was wearing on me, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And then I want to add on that real quick. So when you stopped playing, was it because it was a lack of not you having passion anymore, or was it due with like financial issue, not getting enough money to stabilize yourself as a person?
So 2 things. So yeah, I would say a mix of both. You know, I was at 29. You know, the league minimums have gone up, but you know, you're not. Very few American soccer players are really getting rich, right? So I studied business in college. I knew that my value as a footballer was declining as I got older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew that I'm not scoring 30 goals this season. You know, I was a defensive midfielder, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I just understood where I was, and you know, you can make it work. It's definitely not that you can make it work monetarily, right? I don't like discouraging people based on that, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a time to focus on that, you know, and everyone knows when that is. But I think my reason was also, once you see the business side of football, like up close like that, and you see the ugly side of it, and you see people get mistreated, and you get mistreated, you know, you go through this, that, the third. It does wear on you, and I think I was just, you know, ready to move on. I didn't like play soccer or kick a ball or really like interact with the game for almost like a year when I stopped. It was difficult for me, but I think it was kind of normal.
Yeah.
Sorry to be all like
No,
dark.
no, it's all good, man.
No, I mean,
That teachable moment right now.
Episode, you
yeah,
know?
no, that's part of the game. You know,
Yes.
that's a part of the game that
Mm-hmm.
it's like, again, you know, for footballs only, a lot of this is a result of the conversations I have or we have off, you know, on the side, or just when we're talking about the game and all this. But people outside of that you know, footballer community don't really get to know that. You know, like they don't get the insights in these kind of conversations. And this is a part. Even, you know, even the financial aspect, like the fact that, you know, if you're not, you know, one of the franchise players or in the U.S., it's, you know, you could be a manager at Foot Locker and make more than you know than that player, and that's on the men's side, and then the women's side is a whole nother. I mean, it's a complete disaster. And then, you know, so there's so much about that I think is a valuable piece that you just provided.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No. I mean, that was good. You know, so you stopped playing, and then you essentially took a year off from the game, and then what was your next foray into the game? So take us from that year you took off, right? After you take the year off, you decide to touch the ball again, or kind of, you know, get back to your best friend, and then up to where you are now. So let's go. Let's do that trajectory.
So I was really, just kind of exploring other things. So I'm an artist also at heart. I was big into photography. And when I was playing, I think in hindsight, I think some of my coaches misunderstood this, like as they do. But when I was playing, I was like, I had a photo blog. This was like early Instagram days, and I didn't catch on Instagram like super early like that, but I was blogging when like I guess people still were blogging.
So you had a blog spot. You had a blog spot blog?
I had a little WordPress joke.
Okay, nice.
So I had the WordPress.
What was it called? What was the title? What was it called?
Daps and Hugs.
Nice.
Ooh.
Daps and Hugs.
That's a cool.
So I would just, I had this blog, and I actually got a feature in the paper in Montreal, because the journalist was, found my photos and was like, "Oh, this is great." I have the article at the crib. But so I was pushing that. I had done some weddings and was just exploring, I still have that itch to explore that art world. I haven't really gotten a chance to put too much time into it. But so I was starting down that road. I know the director of Bethesda through his time at American University. He played at American. So just by chance, I ran into, X person at Y time, right? And, they needed a coach for like I want to say U10, a U10, like third tier, like Bethesda black team. It's like, just for the end of the season, they needed some help. Somebody had left, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Let me just give this a try. So I jumped back out there. Philip Zhao is still a big part of the club. So he works with some of their younger age groups. So, saw him out there, got to know the kids, coached the rest of the season, and I really started to enjoy it, right? That next season, I guess it was the summer break, I heard about an opportunity at Stoddard to coach like the high school age team. It was a 2000 birth year age team. Mm-hmm. So I just jumped at that. I was like, well, I like this enough. Let me see what's good, So I started that with Stoddard. And at that point, I had like, the team just was not diverse at all. And when I got them, we needed players. And I'm ahead of maybe your next question, but that's when I really started formulating ideas for Open Goal Project and thinking about diversity and equity in youth soccer, because our team was not representative of DC. And, it just bothered me. I was like, what are we doing here? We're saying that we're here to serve the city. We have only one demo of kids pretty much, right? Even the black kids and that's not a horrible thing, but some private school kids, nobody was of lesser means, like it was all people of a certain class, right? So I I was just determined to do something about that, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into, you know. I was just like naive. I was like, I'm gonna fix this somehow. so that was the real kind of start of what Open Goal would become. And then, you know, it just translated to all the fields I was on. You know, I was like, wait, now I'm coaching a game and there's one black kid on the field. You know, and it repeats itself. It repeats itself again. And you keep entering the same construct, and I just kind of, I had enough of it, and I needed to just do something, you know. So Open Goal is really born like by us. Like I would talk to Mohan. I told him about Precious. Like, yo, you got to see this girl. Whoop-de-whoop, we're meeting with Precious and her mom. Then she's playing for Stoddard. And the next weekend, she's banging free kicks. Okay, the next kid is, you know, there's kids from Bell. There's kids from different places that wanted to play. They needed a plug, right? They needed somebody to pay for they had a scholarship application and a fee for the scholarship application. You know, you got to pay to try to get a scholarship. They had uniform fees. They couldn't always make it to where they needed to be, but they were definitely at the level. Yeah. So we started making that connection. And at a point, you know, pretty quickly, within like a half of a year, we saw that we couldn't like keep doing it like that, you know, like it wasn't working within any other system, you know, like we had to do it ourselves and create something that was different, you know. So that's a short, long version, but it took a lot of time and effort and energy to, I think, really highlight what all the challenges are, you know. And I think for some of that time, it goes back to some of what we were talking about earlier, you know. I was trying to like educate people and tell them why they needed to do things differently, and eventually it's like, no, you just need to take action, you know, and do our thing, right? So here we are, DC 11.
Yes. All right.
Open Goal,
yes,
you know.
Yes. No, okay. I mean, you I'm sure you know the things are just spinning in my head. There's so much. I don't even know. Okay. Let's just simplify this a little bit. When you know you are a product of playing, you know, at a high level, really, the pay to play, you know, you play at the various elite clubs, extremely expensive, you know, extremely structured. And you also hopped clubs, right? So you like, you know, according to you, like you almost sound like you were going to a different club every season or at least every year.
A couple seasons, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, you know, I really want to tap in a little bit into your, you know, that experience. How has that experience informed the environment that you're, you know, now you're on the other end, you're administrator / coach. You're setting the standard, you know, at Open Goal. So how has that experience, you know, being in the pay to play program, hopping clubs, feeling like an outsider, etc. How does that inform the environment that, you know, you're cultivating with Open? Yeah.
I can say, so maybe subconsciously more than anything it has, right? Because so I remember, I'll answer it this way. I remember my parents and how we used to do things. We had the minivan and we were picking up teammates, we were meeting at the pickup point, or we got together, and it was a real community effort to like make it happen. This is primarily, I think, with my brother's team. Mm-hmm. So I had that perspective and people working together to make it happen. Not just like, okay, I paid my money. Mm-hmm. My kid is here on time. Like, good. That's all I need to do, right? Like that was the attitude I saw. Like, it was transactional. I even heard administrators calling, parents customers. Like, it's like, what are, this is youth soccer, I don't understand that, and I would never participate in something like that, right? So that's what really informed like how I thought things should be. And then I guess with our club, we try to really create that family atmosphere that like everybody is there working towards the same end. Everybody's picking the next person up when possible or when needed. And so one of the things that we've done and we've been fortunate to do is I'm big on doing free programming that's really incentivized our parents to do more and to buy in to a certain culture. And they're almost creating it on the fly, so that's a unique thing, and we're in a unique space to be able to offer that. Mm-hmm. But it's something that I would think exists. Like, if you're in a European academy, nobody's paying money, right? So there is no hierarchy. Like, there's no like, mm-hmm. No, you're just all there. It's merit based, Yeah. So if there's no transaction, I mean, it has to look different, mm-hmm. automatically. So that's a big piece of what we do. And, we offer the parents and I guess our community, right, the chance to engage further or, kind of give back in different ways to keep feeding it. But yeah. But that I think that is central to us. Like, we want everybody, if we have a game, which we have, like, so we played a game in New Jersey, Medford, New Jersey. This was 2 hours plus away. We had the parents on the other team were so confused because we had like 30, 40 people up there, parents. And we played 4 games. We played 4 matches. It was a club day. But we had so many parents there. Maybe overstating that. Say 25, 30. But they were looking at us like, what is going on here? But the culture is, we're coming to support. We're there, we're riding together, and whenever there's a need, they tend to kind of fill that gap. They do whatever they can to fill that gap on their own also,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean,
That's
Is a beautiful is a beautiful thing. You know, as you were talking, I'm actually because you have a dual role as a player rep for the MLS, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Players Association. Yes.
Yeah. And so as I'm listening to you, it just occurred to me that the MLS academies are still charging.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well, most aren't. I think most aren't. But I would like to know what exactly is covered, and what isn't, what the burden actually is.
yeah.
But go ahead, sorry.
No. I mean, the last I looked at it, they were charging, and I was so I was genuinely confused because I was like, and one is a model I don't understand the fact that a professional team's academy is charging is just like any other club. And then I was also talking to a number of parents about why it's not why their kid playing at the academy, like the MLS team's academy, is not the first choice. You know what I mean? Like you would think, like you would think if you had a choice, you're paying the same, and the amounts were the same as between 3,000 to 4,000
Mm-hmm.
a year, and the kid is a pretty skilled kid and can play at the MLS academy or one of the elite clubs. The parents chose to play at the elite clubs, and so for me, it said a lot about the MLS Academy and what is not being done to make essentially what should happen, right? Just from a football standpoint, what should happen is all the top young ballers in whatever city the MLS Academy is in should be fighting to play. All of them should be filtered to the academy. An academy should then have, a system where like a pool almost that allow or provide playing opportunities and training opportunities for all these guys, and then pick the best of the bunch and play various tournaments and those sort of things. But that gap still exists. So I'm saying this to you. Obviously, you know some of this,
Well,
but that discussion needs to be had because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I would say I would frame it a different way, and not many people talk about it like this, but even if all the MLS academies are 100% free, let's pretend that they are. How many? That's 30 clubs in the whole U.S. that have free academies. 30 clubs. DC United they started like 13 probably. So you got to pay something before you get there. So I think the question is, and you see cracks in the overall system. I don't know how long it will take for people to really acknowledge this issue, but are those 30 free academies in the whole US, is that enough to really flesh out and develop the talent? I would argue no. You need at least one in each state. You need and in a metropolitan area like DC, you need 3-4 that can really cater to talented groups. You're going to tell me that, and football is subjective, we know, you're going to tell me that DC United at U13 or whatever, they definitely have the best 11 players? It's impossible, or the best 18, 22, because there's, what it is.
Right, because
that's not how it works.
Because when we play them, right? Like when these so-called, not so good teams or whatever play them, they get washed. You know what I mean? Like, because, so to your point, the talent, see, I mean, that's a whole nother piece, which is that talent development and, really development starts much earlier, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that their academies starts at 13, that's that's another discussion. But if that is the structure they're going to go with, then what also needs to happen is they should help subsidize some of the other programs that are providing development at an earlier age, right? So those programs will then serve as a filtering system to them directly. And but no, I mean, actually, one of the things I don't know if you have any access to this, but I definitely want to get in the room and have some conversations with some of the the MLS Academy folks, or the the DC 11. I mean, the DC United folks, because I think one of the things I realized is that we underestimate how much knowledge we have when it comes to football, and so what we do is, like, we see the administrators for DC United or any other MLS programs or whatever it is, and we just assume that they know what they're doing, right? Like they have complete information, and they're going about it the right way. In some instances, that's true, but in a lot of instances, they're administrators that either
with their investments and even how they approach their academy, and that's going back to what James said.
But that's how you